Transformers The Last Knight is in cinemas now. It's once again directed by Michael Bay and stars Mark Wahlberg, Laura Haddock, Sir Anthony Hopkins, Isabella Moner, Josh Duhamel, and Peter Cullen as the voice of Optimus Prime. In the last Transformers movie, it ended with Optimus Prime flying off into space, going out to find his creators, the creators of the Transformers, and that's where we see him in this movie. He's left Earth and the remaining Autobots and Mark Wahlberg's character Cade Yeager to fend for themselves as they're still being hunted down by the American government. You have the Decepticons coming in, but Optimus Prime lands on Cybertron and meets the actual creator of the Transformers, the Mad Goddess Quintessa, who influences Optimus Prime to turn on her side, and she's commanding Cybertron to come to Earth and take away its resource. I don't know, I'm just kind of recapping from what I can remember because I walked out of this movie and a lot of it just left my brain. Transformers The Last Knight, I went into expecting it to just be a Transformers movie. I was secretly, internally hoping, really hoping that this one could at least be watchable. I could at least sit down, watch this, know there's going to be some stupid stuff in there, some stupid characters I don't care about, but at least it could give me some cool action, some cool set pieces, stuff from, say, Transformers Dark of the Moon that made me actually enjoy watching that movie for a good chunk of it. It didn't give me any of that. It gave me exactly the same complete and utter crap that I got with Transformers Revenge of the Fallen and Transformers Age of Extinction. It still gives you terrible characters that I absolutely hated watching. I did not care at all about Cade Yeager's story. I liked Isabella Moner's acting that she was giving for this character, even though her character was both a rip-off of Rey from Force Awakens, and her character isn't even that important to the story. She's in it for like 20 minutes at the start, then the movie forgets about her, and then shoves her into the ending. It's just like, okay, whatever. Why was Stanley Tucci in this movie playing Merlin? He was already a character in the last movie, and Merlin doesn't have anything to do with that character, so it's like, what were they thinking? Were they thinking, oh, the only reason why people go to see Transformers movies is because Stanley Tucci's in it, so we need to have him in this one? I mean, Laura Haddock's character was there, I guess. She was somehow important. Josh Duhamel is playing another leader of a paramilitary group that's either fighting or working with the Autobots, or both, I don't know. And what was more embarrassing was Sir Anthony Hopkins is in this, and for 90% of his dialogue in this movie, it's just exposition upon exposition, and none of it makes any sense. He's trying to tell the characters and the audience about the secret history of Transformers, and oh, they're connected to the medieval knights, and World War II, and samurais, and ancient mythology, and all this kind of just stuff. We keep seeing photos of Transformers just standing there like, what? Anthony Hopkins just keeps going with it. He keeps explaining some big long family tree and how the staff of Merlin is connected to everything, and Stonehenge and a talisman. It's so much stuff. It is honestly embarrassing to see this actor, who has won an Oscar for one of the greatest villain performances of all time, who has been knighted by the Queen of England. He is a great actor. He was terrible in this movie. He's either giving these explanations for things that make no sense, or he's given horrible lines. It just makes him look like a complete lunatic all the time.
Yes, but you want to know, don't you, dude?
And who holds pictures like this? Like, I don't know. Or not. I hated watching Mark Wahlberg. These human characters, just go away. Get out of the way. I don't care about you. I never cared about you. And this movie actively made me care even less about the human characters, if that's even possible. The real reason why people go to see these movies, and the real reason why there are some fans out there, is because for a majority of the Transformers series, they've given some big, epic action, some cool robot fights, some great special effects. Those sorts of things is what gets people into the theaters. That's why they're so successful. Okay, you get none of that in this. You barely get Autobots and Decepticons fighting. You barely get any visual effects that don't either look completely overproduced or completely cheap. How do we go from effects that were 10 years ago looking more realistic than a movie that just came out a few days ago? I have no idea. You get this big climax thing that happens in like the last 20 minutes, but you still have to sit through 2 hours of just a nothing movie. There's a few little tiny action moments, some chase scenes that don't mean anything. The actual technical construction of this movie is terrible. The sound design isn't that good. The editing of this movie was horrendous. The cinematography was done by Jonathan Sela, who did John Wick. John Wick has some incredible, slick, and beautiful action and some excellent framing. I was actually excited for Jonathan Sela to be filming this movie because I thought, he could actually give some more smoother camera angles for this franchise, which is not known for that. And they kept promoting, we filmed this entire movie in IMAX 3D cameras and it's going to look huge and epic and awesome. Who the hell thought it was a good idea for this movie to constantly change aspect ratios? It kept going from the normal IMAX 70:1 ratio to 69:1 and then back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It was utterly infuriating because I've seen that done before, particularly in Christopher Nolan's more recent films. He does change between 35mm film and IMAX cameras, but he does it for a reason. He shoots the interior scenes in 35mm so that way you can get a more direct look at the characters' faces and what's going on, and then for the big action set pieces, he shoots it in that huge IMAX ratio. But for this movie, in one scene in particular, no matter if it was interior or exterior, it would constantly change between those ratios. That is so stupid. That's a poor way to film a movie if you have such huge, awesome cameras like IMAX cameras. I didn't understand that, and then once again, the direction by Michael Bay is another painful, exhausting exercise in nothingness. This whole movie is an exercise in nothingness. I didn't care about any of the characters. I didn't care about the fact that, Optimus Prime might be bad. He might turn against the Autobots. He's in this movie for like 5 minutes, and then the actual him turning into what they call Nemesis Prime, which is a dumb name, that lasts for mere seconds. Just 20, 30 seconds maximum. And then he's just good again. I didn't care about Bumblebee. I didn't know half the Autobots that they kept just randomly introducing. Megatron's in this movie and he looks like an Ultron ripoff, which annoyed me, but he does have a cannon on his right arm and also Hot Rod's in here as well. These are two callbacks to the original Transformers movie from '86. So the Decepticons had this weird setup where Megatron was trying to negotiate with the government to release his friends, and they kept being introduced in like this weird Suicide Squad way, and that didn't even mean anything because they didn't remember what half of their names were in 3 seconds because they all just died. Since when do submarines built in the 40s have windows on their stern? That annoyed me. It pissed my brother off way more because he's in the Navy and he realized that was just the stupidest thing. Did you really have to have more car wheels punching people in the face? Because that was already dumb enough in the last movie. Since when does the Earth's core cool just randomly because another planet's coming into our... just no. This movie, once again, like so many other terrible Transformers movies, pissed me off once I walked out of it. It keeps trying to do all these things to get you thinking, wow, that could be cool, but none of it lands. I think that Transformers The Last Knight is not as offensively awful as both Age of Extinction and Revenge of the Fallen is, but it is still just another stupid, pointless movie, and it's even more clear now that Transformers has done nothing to the idea of filmmaking or even to pop culture. What kind of enjoyment can you get out of a movie that has a stupid script, terrible plotting that never makes a lick of sense whatsoever, and even action that is poorly filmed, poorly edited and doesn't even work to actually get you to think, wow, that actually looks pretty cool. There could have been some great chances for the camera to just stop and revel in this awesome spectacle of this planet coming into Earth's atmosphere. But it doesn't. It just keeps running along. We have to rush to the finish line. If I have to sit through another one of these bloated, moronic trash piles one more time, I'm going to implode. My brain will not be able to take it. In the end, Transformers The Last Knight can be summed up by 2 lines from the actual movie. This is the dumbest idea you could have possibly had, and it's all horseshit. Kind of excited for the Transformers Bumblebee movie though. It's set in the 80s, so that could be cool. So Transformers The Last Knight, please don't see it. Not even out of curiosity, just don't. Please tell me what you think about this review in the comments below. Please check out my Transformers Mega review. I go into a lot more detail than in this video. I'm gonna go on a 2-week vacation into Vietnam, so I won't have videos being done in that time, but when I come back, I will be going super out there with some crazy reviews. So much content is coming. Stay tuned for that. There are gonna be videos linked down here or one over there. For more Mr. Movies, please press my little face right there. Thanks for watching.